Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome, Cheap Shot Nation. You're watching Quick Shot Reviews, the dedicated movie channel for Cheap Shot Entertainment, and I'm proud to bring you this review of something new that was on telly the other day. And it wasn't exactly new because it was released in 2018, but it's a film that I never got to see and never got round to click and play on. It is streaming on Netflix in the UK, I believe, and it is Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse. It's been on my bucket list for a very long time, just haven't got round to watching it. So when it was on TV the other day, I thought, yes, why not? I'm sick of watching endless reruns of Independence Day. I must know that film off by heart, and my dad certainly does. Much like my love of Ghostbusters. If you've not seen that video, go and check it out, because that just paints me as a Ghostbusters geek, really, and should be known from the teacher. Anyway, we're going to go and review this film. I also love Spider-Man and everything about Spider-Man. I love the games and everything that's come out. Certainly in recent times, big Spider-Man fan, like a Batman fan, definitely my favourite Marvel character as we go forward. But let's join me in the main part of the video where I'll be going through all of my thoughts on Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse. Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse was released in 2018, and the director was Bob Perschetti. Sounds like she's saying spaghetti, but you've got a short tongue and it comes out spaghetti. But turns out he's a really good director, because this film, I absolutely adore this film. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it was just a hoot from start to finish. It was funny, it was compelling, the story was good, the characters were well developed, and the animation is just fabulous. Absolutely brilliant. It's a case of Sony doing something really good with the Spider-Man license that they still have, even though Disney own Marvel. Work that one out, but you know, they've paid a lot of money for the Spider-Man license, and why wouldn't Disney just want another studio to keep putting out Spider-Man movies? Because it just makes sense, doesn't it? So, what happens in Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse? Teen Miles Morales, of fame from the video game released last year, and of course known as one of the only black superheroes to be depicted in comics, along with Black Panther and who is the other one? Martian Manhunter, I think is well, it certainly is in the Supergirl series anyway. But yeah, really, you know, he's really good in this. Obviously he's a teen, like Peter Parker, maybe a bit younger, and has to deal with all that kind of stuff as well. He could become Spider-Man in his own universe, but then must join other 5 spider-powered individuals, not all Spider-Men, Spider-People might be added, from other dimensions to stop the threat from all realities, and coming from Wilson Fisk, also known as Kingpin. And also starring in the Spider-Man game, who was, you know, it's really fun. I actually did start in the Spider-Man game, where you catch him straight away, and it's kind of but there you go. It stars Shemek Moore as Miles, Jake Johnson as Peter Parker, Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy, who is a Spider-Woman in her universe, John Mulaney as Spider-Ham. This is an example of how to take the P out of yourself. Remember the Simpsons movie with the Spider-Pig? Now we've got Spider-Ham. I don't even know if that was a proper comic, but it definitely should be. And his name is Peter Porker. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Kimco Glenn as Penny Parker, who is the Japanese contingent, has the little robot, and it's like a Tamagotchi, and it smiles and everything is really cool. And then we get Nick Cage playing Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man War. It's in my eyes, not the bees. Actually, one of Nick Cage's better performances, probably because you can't see his facial expressions. But there you go. That's Nick Cage for you, isn't it? It's the cagiest of cages. And Liev Schreiber, also known as Cotton Weary in the Scream series, and also been in the X-Men series as well. Quite an accomplished actor in his own right, and he plays Wilson Fisk. So I think I've already mentioned it already. I was pleasantly surprised by this film. I knew of its credits going into it, and I'm so glad that I watched it. It just brightened up my bank holiday weekend. It was so darn good. I adore this. I absolutely adore it. From the characters, from the story was engaging. The bad guys made the story even better as well. You got Dr. Octavius, who was a woman. I haven't even seen that version, but it worked so well. Even when they're sneaking into the lab to get the thing that would stop the multiverses joining together, the scientists were funny as well. It was just great all the way through. It was fantastic, and the art style was just fabulous. It was like being in a cartoon. It was like being in a comic book cartoon of a comic book, and it was a film as well, and it was just so many elements. This is how to do a superhero movie. Sony, if you're watching, let's get some more of these going. Let's do some more Spidey adventures like this, because it was really good. However, I feel like this may be a one-hit wonder. If you were to extend this Spideyverse, I think you may get bitten by a radioactive spider in the butt, because I think this film is absolutely beautiful, and if they released a sequel, I get the distinct feeling that it wouldn't be half as good as this, because they would try way too hard. Creators of this film just hit something fantastic with this one. Don't know if it can be recreated, but I would definitely welcome something of the same sort. But Sony, if this was your apology for the Emoji Movie, then your apology has been accepted. Would I say you need to watch this film? Yes, I would. Watch it in as many multiple Spider-Verses as you possibly can, because it is so darn good. Possibly one of my favourite animated films, alongside Toy Story, and that came out in 1995. So there you go. Maybe I'll do a review of that, because I love that film so much. I think I went to see that film about 5 times in the cinema when it came out, but that's when, you know, cinema tickets went like 11 quid each. So there you go, that was that. Also of note, I went to see Toy Story in the same cinema as I go to now to go and watch all of these films that I review for you when the cinema's open, which it is. Which has changed quite a lot these days, but this was about Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse, and I absolutely adore this film. Should you go and watch it? Yes. Yes. You are the Tube Shot Nation. I have been your host, Luke. And if you've seen this film and absolutely adore it, leave it in the comment section down below. If you don't agree with me, leave it in the comment section down below. You know what to do now, people. Join us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and all of the available social media channels, including the merch shop, which you can find a link for at the top of the YouTube page, right next to the subscribe button. I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Hiya.